All right, folks, welcome back for another episode. I wanted to welcome my next guest. She's a best-selling Pinay science fiction author, a comic and a webtoon creator, and an associated creative director. Her writing, I see, is best summarized in three words. They say robots, romance, and revenge. I like that. But her work has graced the floors at major international book fairs, at the San Diego Comic Con, and pretty much all over the world. Ladies and gents, I want to welcome Katrina Olan to the show. How are you?
Mello, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's so nice to connect with you. I've been watching some of your podcast episodes there. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of your stuff too. I just thank you for making the time and just making the time zone thing work out. It's crazy. But hey, what an amazing resume. Oh man. So I know by day, copywriter based in Manila, and you do some scripting for commercials, TV, radio, and then at night you're an author. And so crazy. Before we go into your amazing body of work, I want to talk about where you were born, where you grew up, and where you hang your hat now.
okay. So I was born and raised here in Manila. I've never
Oh,
left.
oh, okay.
South of the metro.
Hmm.
So the BF Alabang area. Familiar with
Yeah.
that? And then I work in the middle of Metro Manila, somewhere around Makati in an ad agency. So my life has mostly revolved around that area, but I do have a lot of family around the Philippines, so we do go travel
Yeah.
north, east, west, everywhere, even in the US actually. So most of my family went to the US. I mean my mom's generation. So
Okay.
whenever we have a cross country tour, California,
Yeah.
Texas, North Carolina, New Jersey, Boston, ganun. It's
Wow.
really amazing.
So that's funny. So you said you grew up in Alabang, and I know when I used to visit the Philippines all the time. Oh, I used to want to go to Alabang all the time. You guys had the nice mall, and yeah, and so now you're still in Metro Manila, and okay, and you do work out there, and so you get to do all these amazing things. And so, but I want to know how did you get into writing? How did that all start?
Okay, so it was kind of like a way to cope with my situation. I mean, it wasn't a bad situation,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I grew up as a child, so I had to find ways to kind of like entertain myself, right? So it's just like making up stories and keeping myself entertained. I did love a lot of science fiction things growing up then, like
yeah.
Star Wars, um, the classic animes, right? The classic sci-fi animes. I really wasn't actually into mecha until I started writing Tablay,
Oh,
but I did
interesting.
sci-fi and especially World War stories. I feel like the conflict and like history, right, plays a big part in my stories. They're mostly magical realism, I would
Yeah.
say. Not really borderline na parang space opera na Star Wars, but more of grounded
I like
fiction.
that. Yeah,
Um, appreciating the limits of the human body, as you can see in the
yeah.
story. Get dead kaagad if if they manage to fall from 1,000 feet or whatnot. Anyway, I think the kind of influences that I had as a kid and my upbringing and growing up here in the South and as an only child really shaped my writing because I wanted to escape to these kind of like fantasy worlds and then
Sure.
create friends, also bring my friends in the real world into the fantasy world. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've put the self inserts and
Yeah.
what a lot of my stories are actually the people in my stories are based of people in real life. I feel like that's
Oh,
a really way um to write compelling stories or to write them after people right?
okay.
So that's the
Man.
kind.
So I have to resist from asking you because eventually I want to go into the book Tablay. So now I'm like, who's Anya? Okay, so crazy. That's awesome. And so, I mean, I read that you were an only child, and so were you reading a lot of books? Was it reading first before writing, and then eventually you wanted to write your own stories?
Yes. So I mean it's like breathing. It goes in and out. Right? So breathing in is like reading. Breathing out is like writing, and it's this entire cycle.
Okay.
Um. I did. Well, I had Harry Potter,
Yeah.
right? The classics that kids would read growing up, and
Right.
as the school. Some Filipino literature. surprisingly, I wasn't really into comics until I got into the comics
Oh,
industry. I mean, it's an interesting journey where I love prose, Aragon, fantasy,
yeah.
what else did I read growing up? Crystal Doors, but a lot of sci-fi and fantasy.
Wow.
And then after that, this is so funny. It opened a corner of my memory when in school we wouldn't listen to the teacher. We'd have this little role-playing notebook. So
Uh-huh.
it's like we characters, and when the teacher wasn't looking, we'd write part of the story, and
Oh,
then we'd
wow.
to the next to the actually it was per day or per week. Like I
Oh,
would
that's cool. And then everyone finishes the story, huh?
it's
Oh.
we had OCs. Like my OC, I believe, was Zelda. Her name was Zelda for some reason. I lived in this one house like Big Brother, but in that house there were a lot of magical things happening,
Yeah.
and I'd write it for like 3 days, and then I'd pass it over to my other best
Oh, that's
friend, and
awesome.
right what happens, and then I get surprised that there's a sudden plot twist in the story. So I was like, okay, write this, okay, continue it. We pass it over to the next best friend, and that became like a running joke, or like a
Yeah.
culture that we even had like a secret society of like school. During lunch, we'd play Quidditch in the field. We'd steal the
Oh, that's awesome.
broom closet.
Yeah.
Actually, how we played Quidditch was the 5 peso coin, which was gold,
Oh,
right?
right.
That was the golden snitch. So everyone would close their eyes, and then someone would just randomly throw it into this large grass field and
Everybody chase it, huh?
find the 5 peso coin. So yeah, it was a very
Oh,
colorful child.
yeah, how
Despite
fun. And I could see how, like, you would do the story, and then when you pass it off, it creates a suspense and even an excitement on waiting for the story to come back. So super fun. I'm glad that it was great, just a great childhood, and sparked your interest in writing. And eventually, I guess you wrote Skies Above, right? You had to be middle school when you wrote that, right?
yes, I was 13 years old. It took me 7 years to write that.
Wow,
Surprisingly. Well, it just started out as like I said, the notebook thing with my friend. So
that's
I passed
awesome.
around this story. It was creative writing class. It was
Okay,
creative class. It was an elective. I mean, I always knew. I mean, whenever you have that, creative calling, right?
yeah,
Parang you're just drawn to that creative calling. You cannot express it, but you just know you have to do it, right? So
right.
that I always knew naman that I wanted to be in the creative field or a writer. By the way, if this is any addition to the lore, a lot of my family are also in the creative field and in the
Oh,
arts.
interesting. Like what? Like actual artist or?
I have my uncle is the artistic director of IPAG, the Integrated Performing Arts Guild.
Oh
They're
man.
the old Philippine theater company
Okay.
here.
Oh
Um,
man, that's amazing.
I've had my other tita naman from the same family. She's
Okay.
a instructor at the conservatory
Oh
in North
wow.
Carolina.
Oh
We've had
man. Wow. So it runs in
conduct
your blood.
animators, sculptors, architects, ganon. So, but a lot of arts and sciences, I think. No, if you think about it, arts and sciences are very overlapping.
Yeah, there's
They all
certainly a science to it. Now, do
yes,
you, do
there
you think you got some? Who is the more artistic one from your mom and dad?
probably my mom's side, but it's
Okay.
it's fun. The dad's side,
Yeah.
we have painters like
Okay.
like this is like dropping family lore here and there, but
No, that's great.
my my tita, no, my tita, my great grandmother studied under Amor Solo yata. I mean, in UP College of Fine Arts. So
Wow.
there was a lot of artistic parang endeavors in our family. So it's not the typical Asian household where they would say that there's no money in the arts. So
Uh-huh.
usually a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. So I'm just very lucky that a lot of us have succeeded in making
Yeah.
activity our full-time business. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to bring it back. So I forget, I got stuck in thinking that you were doing like full-time art, but I forgot you're also a creative director. and you specialize in marketing. So that is that what you studied in college too then?
Yes. So I studied integrated marketing communication,
Okay.
um, University of Asia and Pacific. It wasn't exactly a creative course, but I love business. Like I
Yeah.
feel like pricing is like the perfect blend of
Yeah.
business and creativity. Because say you're
Yeah.
using the skills of like both like business strategy, but
Yeah.
also creativity to market work. And we can talk about this later, how I used both my left side of the brain and the
Yeah.
right side kind of like propel the success of Tablay, because I feel like parang when you're a creative kasi the journey
Right.
doesn't stop when you finish the work. Okay, so
That's
you
right.
finish, but the next thing is bringing it to market. So it's like I
Yeah.
took off creative my creative hat, and then I put on my like entrepreneurial hat, I believe,
Yeah.
or business. Yeah, that's how I
Right.
worked on
And
it.
so yeah, that's what yeah. And so I noticed that too. And I guess real quick, I want to mention too the art that your writing is paired with is always fantastic. It just goes together really well, right? And then I know that yeah, like I concur. A lot of the reviews talk about your amazing ability to market your products, and I think you do a good job. Like I mean, you're all at all the international book fairs and just in stores all over the U.S. And yeah, I think that's great that you're a walking production house. It's crazy. Yeah, I think it works well. So yeah, that's fantastic. And so, and then you mentioned Skies Above took a couple years to write, but really, what interested me was that you mentioned you did the steampunk fantasy novel, and it was more a Caucasian male lead, and then eventually, like, hey, I'm gonna do Tablay, but I want to look and use things from within my culture. So, can you talk to me about when you made that revelation that you're like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna take it back on Filipino roots. I love that.
Like I mean, I don't want to be a victim of my situation, right? Because we all grew up, right, with Western media.
Mm-hmm.
Disney home was our home base for everything entertainment, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. And I guess, it just
Right.
comes with the evolution of the times, right? Like after the, I guess, the early 2000s, 2010s, stories were really expanding. I mean, the cultural zeitgeist, right? Of
Yeah.
us really understanding that it's important that we have this sort of representation in media, because
Fair
the
enough.
world the world isn't all all white people, right? I mean,
Right.
we're so diverse, and I feel like being able to express who I am as a Filipino, as a Filipina, right? It really empowers me to tell better and more authentic stories.
Ah, I
Because,
love that.
right? I mean, because we're not our culture isn't the West, and it's not saying, I think we fall continuously into the trap of saying Filipinos just copy, right?
Oh,
Western,
that's yeah,
they 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 copy Japanese, they copy Korean shows. We
yeah.
can only adapt. We can't create our own content, which is false.
Okay.
But I think the bigger issue, especially coming from mainland Filipino stuff, is that we put this own imagined ceiling, right?
Okay.
Ourselves. We set the ceiling for ourselves na we're not good enough. And I think that my practice and my mission is really to show that to lift, diba? To uplift the
Yeah.
Philippine thing. If this girl can do it, so can we, right?
Oh man, that was great. And you're right. That was kind of some of the points that attracted me to your writing because you mentioned things like Tikbalang, Capre. I'm like, oh yeah, I know all those stories growing up, and so I really, I just really enjoyed that part in your writing, and I love just you tie it back and then some of the subtle cussing in Tagalog too. Just I enjoyed it because that's my life, right? I associated with. So I thought that was great that you just sat down and you were like, hey, let me tie in this science fiction theme with mythology, and then here we go, Tablay. And so how did you decide that the book was going to be called Tablay?
Okay, so right, jumping off from Skies Above, right, and that kind of newfound knowledge that I was just talking about a while ago. I think my Filipino awakening. I don't know, would you call that the Filipino love and awakening really
I
happened
love it.
when I started going into Comic Cons here locally, Comic
Okay.
Con with and Comic with a K.
Yeah.
Um, I saw that there was this entire expanse or underbelly of indie comics.
Okay.
Actually, until now, it's not known by kids in school. They don't
Okay.
even realize the entire ecosystem of really great Filipino comics because the only things that they're really exposed to are the required readings in school, right?
Right.
And the international bestsellers. But if they only look inwards, and I think that that's my cause and that's my
Yeah.
mission, did expose people to local culture and to expose people to local literature and creativity para I mean it hits two birds with one stone, right?
Right.
One, people aware that we do have quality things, and two, they'll be proud of being Filipino, diba?
Yeah.
They don't have to hide, they don't have to hide the fact that they're Filipino or be ashamed of it.
Right.
They, will be proud of being Filipino because they know these works are great and are world class and are representative of our culture. So when I had
Yeah.
that mind, I was like, okay, man. I mean, I loved working on this book, Skies Above, but I know that there's this opportunity now. I can make something really fun into my own culture. So I
Right.
said, okay, these people are making these great works like Trece, diba? If you're familiar with
Right.
Trece,
That
in
was
the comic,
great.
um 66, what else, Skyworld, if you see all of the comic kit works,
Okay.
and the other publishing works by like Anino Comics,
Okay.
other publishers, di ba? You'll see that, oh my gosh, posible pala. And I
Yeah.
challenged myself, let's do something. Let's do something that someone has never done before.
Okay.
There was really a gap in science fiction. I mean, come on. When okay, let me test you, Romelo.
Oh man. Okay.
When I say Filipino science fiction, what is the first title that comes into mind?
Man, that's a good question. Well, it's weird. I grew up watching Voltus 5, right? Bioman, but I don't even think those were Filipino based though. But those played a lot in the Philippines, so I don't think I can't name one off the top of my head.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I did a compare. I mean, I didn't do the competitive scan before, but
Yeah,
I was really reflecting na parang, so Japan has Voltus
yeah,
5, Mazinger,
yeah,
uh, this has Iron Man,
yeah.
um, Iron Man, the Iron Giant.
Ultron, yeah, and it wasn't. Yeah, that's a
Where are
good point. That's a good point.
where are the Filipino robots,
I
right?
know.
It's like, okay, I'ma own this. I want to be the head of the train for this.
Wow.
So let's try it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Sat down and I thought, what what's something Filipino that no one else can own? What can the West not own? What can Japan not
Oh,
own? And
think
that
about
is mythology. So
that
right,
was fantastic.
really melding together the science fiction that we know and love with something that is uniquely our own. It's like leaning back into our past, but also looking forward into the future. And then that's how Tablay happened.
Well, let me ask you this too. So, yeah, so for a while I lived in the Philippines too, and my dad was stationed at Subic. We used to go back and forth to Cavite, visit the family. And so all the time you hear the stories about the duendes, you hear the stories about the white lady. And so have you had any real life experiences with Tikbalang, Capra, any of those, like, have any of those stories? Or are they simply just mythology to you?
Now, I mean, I don't want to say that I have a third eye, but I do have.
Oh, wow. I believe it.
I have had multiple encounters here in this very room that I that I
I
don't know.
believe it.
Yung parang, okay, so, well, I think it's really mostly spirits with unfinished business. Hindi
Okay.
I mean, I think that's more believable than actual
Yeah,
the actual.
tikbalang or yeah, yeah.
Baka mas nasa probinsya sila kasi we're
Yeah,
in one
that's fair enough.
nasa Sikihor, baka nasa Sikihor sila or like in Baguio.
They gotta be by the river, right?
by the river. I mean, I'm here in the south where there are
Man,
buildings.
that's good. That's a good counter to the story.
So
Oh,
anyway, it's more of, I think, spirits with unfinished business is like
wow.
more of like this happened just like right after my grandfather passed.
All
Yeah.
right.
So when I was in fifth grade. So for some reason he hated us traveling, but I love traveling. Baka kasi he gets scared that, something might happen, like the airplane might crash or
Yeah,
we
yeah.
might sort of that. So it always happens exactly at 3 o'clock, right? 3 o'clock is the witching hour.
That's
So
right.
my all my encounters literally happen at 3 o'clock, like specific to watch. Anyway, what happens is right after my grandfather passed, maybe a few months after, we were going to Baguio. And of course that's a road trip, right? That's a
Yeah.
long road up. I heard this grinding sound at 3 o'clock, parang like that. I woke up to that sound. Our monoblock chair, our plastic chair, literally at 3 o'clock, it moved. It felt like someone heavy was sitting on the chair. It moved around and faced me like this.
Oh, that's pretty scary. I'm like,
There was no wind. It felt like someone really heavy was sitting on the chair and just dragged the chair and then it faced me. Ganon. And there was this other time that
oh,
um I had this dream again where I think I was dreaming of traveling to another country,
okay.
and then I saw someone with parang his foot was exposed, but it was a really gnarly foot na parang may gangrene. His nails were
Okay.
so something like that. So for some reason, I tried
Yeah.
to hit him or touch him, and then he started screaming. Right, he started screaming, and then when someone screams into your ear, and then
Right.
that sounds like muffled, like that happened to me. I mean, in the dream.
Oh,
When
wow.
when I woke up, it felt like someone really screamed into my ear. But when I opened my eyes and I was flat on bed. I'm not really I wasn't side sleeping that night.
Okay.
I looked up. There was this gigantic figure hovering over me like that,
Oh man.
kind of a guy on fire. This is sorry. I hope I don't freak
No,
you.
no, it's okay. I love hearing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like him. He was hovering over me like that,
Yeah.
like line- an outline, just a black void, but an outline lined in fire, like he was on fire. And then biglang nawala, parang ganon. So my two, well, just some of
Yeah.
the two experiences right
Yeah.
there.
So two points you brought up. I feel like everybody's got that third eye. It just depends on how aware you are and how just how it gets activated. So that's interesting. And I still think Filipinos got the scariest ghosts and monsters all around the world. So yeah, that's interesting. Well, hey, how did you go about coming up with the title Tablay, right? So Tablay means electric charge. And what was it the concept of the mecha robotic balang first, or did the Tablay title come first?
Yeah. Um, Usually I'm very deductive, the one where you have to know the small details first before going up to the bigger picture. I
Yeah.
guess so. I didn't write the title first. I kind of did part of the thesis statement of what I wanted to build. So one, I knew that it was sci-fi,
Okay.
mecha mythology. It takes place in New Intramuros,
Yeah,
which is
I
like,
like that.
it's like Intramuros is such an integral part of our history.
That's
So
right.
why Pinoy sci-fi spin to it? So New Intramuros, and then I said, okay, it has to do, what's the central conflict? Of course, I knew that I wanted it to be human versus alien, but can we push that, right? Wink,
Yeah.
wink. If you Can we push that concept of kind of like an Independence Day, but like, make a twist that no one expects? So I was thinking about these things, and then I just Googled parang Filipino Science Dictionary, right? So and then I was like, okay, okay, because in my head the gears were already turning, right? Because
Okay.
I learned from how to launch and market Skies Above. I learned from my mistakes. I'm iterating. I'm saying, okay, I knew that with Tablay, there had to be a very strong visual mnemonic.
Sure.
This is advertising terms, but the visual mnemonic is that one element that would be present in lahat ng marketing materials, in your title. And I thought about lightning. Kasi lightning, electricity, electric powered vehicles,
Uh-huh.
electric, like very, it's a very strong visual. Kasi when you say tablay, you'll immediately think about lightning. Kasi tablay means electric charge in
Right.
Philippine. So I was like, okay, let's make our thematic lightning. Let's talk about lightning, energy, ganon. So that's how
Okay.
I brainstorm. So when I saw tablay, okay, and then I searched, of course, one, so that you have optimal search results on Google. You have
Ah,
to make title.
that's
You
the
have to make
science.
not is not present yet, or parang at least the mix of the title hasn't been taken by anyone else. So I researched, yes, wala pang book na tablay on Google. So
Wow.
I around it, it'll be the first thing to be searched up. Kasi I know that it's a fact that a lot of a lot of people use these one-liner Filipino words, right, as titles, like kilig, silakbo, whatever, all of these things as a sort of a title system. So Tablay was
It's
perfect.
stronger. I think it's more prominent with just that one word. I thought that's why I like it. And you mentioned too the electric car. So you drew that image in. I can't remember if it's chapter one, but you talked about electric cars on EDSA. And oh man, yeah, they gave me a good picture. I've driven up and down EDSA, stuck in traffic. So just thinking all the traffic zoom in there, that created a nice visual for me. But yeah, I love the story behind the title. And I know you decided to self-publish it though, right? And so what fueled that decision?
Oh well, rejection.
Hey,
Yeah, it's the
I
story.
love it
It's
though.
parang I pitched the blind to all of the major, well, not all, but the prominent publishing houses,
It's
and I
crazy.
kept getting rejected, and I was like, dude, if no one wants to do the work for me, then I should just do it myself. That
I
way, I
like
have
it.
more control. Na parang okay, so I mean, I'm not saying I'm not resenting them for doing it. It's just that
Right,
that wasn't my destiny. That wasn't my destiny. So I
right.
said, well, I have the ambition and the grit. So might as well do it myself. And I think that way it kind of, the success or failure, I only have myself to blame for it.
I
So
love it.
I might as well do it myself.
Yeah, I just admire the confidence in you believing in your work. And I mean, it's a success. So it's great. I mean, it's one of the major science fiction titles in the Philippines now. And so that was great. And I saw a story too that, Tablay, the mecha robot, Anya, just the whole story behind it is, it projects hope. And I saw a story that you mentioned too, which I didn't know that Voltus 5 was canceled at some point during the time of the first Marcos when he was the president. And so because it communicated ideas of rebellion and that it might inspire people to rise against him. And so I was like, whoa, I had no clue. So it was that. So did you know that story did you know about that? Or did you not find out about it later? Was that kind of some inspiration to do that? Or I just thought that was awesome.
Thank you. Fair, I learned about the Marcus after I published
Okay.
it. Doing, I guess, back end research for I just wanted to know actually, why do Filipinos love robots, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
parang why are Filipinos obsessed with making gunpla, right? I mean, in the
I know.
Changi, right? In the Changi,
Okay, yeah. I love it.
many fake gunpla models, and yet
Yeah.
people are willing to spend up to, like, if you go to the Comic Cons here and
Lots.
con, they're willing to spend like 30 to 40,000 pesos on an Iron Man Mark 7 titanium model. So I'm just
Oh,
like, why are people so obsessed with robots? And that leads me to the question, why don't we have a Filipino robot, right? So
no.
it's back na parang, okay, this is the gap in the market that I can address. So
You
yun,
did
so
the
I
research. Wow.
said na parang, of course, like for me, I'm a very strategic, research oriented person. Like it took me nine
Clearly.
months to, just to build the world of Tablay. I did not even write, ha. this is all research.
Oh,
Like I did everything from studying. I don't have the book here, right here in my desk, but I did everything from studying the plane models of World War II. If you see
okay.
the schematic at the back of the book, there are certain specs like the power plant, the range, the cruising speed, cruising altitude. Like I studied that. I studied the psychology of soldiers in a battlefield and like how it is to live with soldiers of different ethical persuasions. That's why,
Oh,
as
wow.
you can see, they're all soldiers. They don't they don't treat the mech force the same way, right? Like
No,
some people,
it's like special forces.
yeah. No, I mean even between the ensemble of Anya and her team,
Yeah,
they don't they don't treat their loyalty to the mech force the same way.
yeah.
Like example, Commander Datu for
Okay.
real. She's what they call that. She's there to serve the country. But on
Yeah,
the flip, Peraza's there is just because that's the job that gives him the most money, and he has to support his family, and he really doesn't care about the ethical part of serving. He just needs money, diba? So
yeah.
parang all of their values are very different,
Different.
even.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and I have to mention, I have to beat you to it because you started talking about it. But one of the questions I had as I was reading the book was like, dude, she knows like military jargon very well. So I'm in the army, right? And just I was like, oh man, she just the references, the regimen, your references to the academy, and just like you said, the different behaviors. I thought it was outstanding, and so I didn't know. I was like, I wonder if Katrina had served in the military or she had family. But your understanding was very good in the book. So is that also part of the research that you did?
Yes, so
Hmm.
I did 9 months of research, really studying
Well
parang
done.
thank you, setting the landscape or setting the chessboard, setting
Fantastic.
the, as you can see, it's really how I view a story is like a chess game that plays out.
Yeah.
So also you know this probably like in the military, you have to plan a lot for an operation before doing the operation. You have to
Right.
know sino ang kalaban mo, what are their resources, what
Uh-huh.
is the why do they do the things that they do, right?
Yeah.
What is your plan of action? So lahat yun ginawa ko. So it's also understand. Oh, what I did was interestingly, you'd be interested in that. I really well also for the graphic novel, which we can talk about in a while.
Yeah.
I the Manhattan Project a lot.
Oh.
I Manhattan Project a lot. That's why when we watched Oppenheimer, my dad was like, "How do you know all these details? How could that? This is a real historical event. I read the books about it. How did you know this guy was gonna do this?" Yun, so parang it I read I read a lot of books,
Yeah.
especially all nonfiction by the way, and autobiographies. It's so interesting to get into the minds of like soldiers na parang
Yeah.
it would the reason why Chino was so worried, and then I upped that in the graphic novel. The reason that Chino was so worried about getting Bakunawa like operational was not because specifically for the operation, but just the sheer power of it and what it could
Right.
do. People could do with that same power after he turned
Yeah.
over the schematics of the project.
Yep.
So parang the ethical and I guess do the ends really justify the means sort of,
Right.
you know, it's like a it's like a large it's like a large part of the story. And you see that thing which I planned, the characters story arc is also separate from the main plot arc, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
the characters
absolutely.
the character's own emotional journey is textured by the way that the story flows. So here's the story of Anya. Parang it's your lifelong dream to want to become, to want to be an
The me-
outstanding member of society and serve the country, but then suddenly you have this paradigm shift when you realize people that you are hunting aren't the people that you're supposed to be hunting. If you know, you know, right? And then
yeah.
it opens up this whole can of worms,
Okay.
and it brings you. deeper and actually closer. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna circle back to this whole historical revisionism and the current events, current social political events na parang wow, this I had a lot of feelings kasi during the time of no, I can say this because I've said it in a lot of interviews and my freedom of speech I've had a lot of large feelings, especially about the EJ case, right? The
Okay.
extra feelings and all of the
Yeah.
horrible and all of
Right.
the stuff happening during the Duterte administration. It was really bad, especially in the
Okay.
country. Probably people have not felt it from abroad, but
Yeah.
just reports of people turning out missing and
Sure.
dead. These death squads would just knock on your door and then suddenly you're dead the next morning, sort of thing. And then when you're tagged with a sort of rebellion, wala, mawawala ka lang, ganon. So
Oh.
dark time here in this country, and then syempre also all of the deals with China, right? Also all it's a current battlefield here in the country na what to do with the West Philippine Sea and how to defend it because
Sure.
forward they're really pushing forward towards the Philippines and we're being infiltrated inside. So a lot of these themes
Yeah.
um before, and then you'll see kind of like the undertones in the book. I wasn't as brave before because that was really my first time
True.
really.
Yeah.
Kasi I mean, kudos to all of these people who are really activists, diba? Na they're very expressive about what they see, but I know that's also very tricky, especially when you live in a regime where you can be hurt, like physically hurt because of it. So just had to play that balance, but I just
Yeah.
had to, and I feel like just being able to express these, I think that's the beauty of science fiction, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it has a lot of social political undertones. I mean,
That
I feel
was clear. Yeah. With the relationship with the president and the different generals, General Nicanor. And I thought you also did a good job of bringing up a human dilemma of good and bad with technology, right? The way that you use it maybe make us or it might break us. And so I love just just both sides. It just depends on how you use technology, right? And so, yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that, but again, I think you just I don't know, all the social relationships that were going on with the different people. It was just fascinating to me. It was really well written. And so you can't spoil the book. I'm only at chapter 12. So, but, but it's great. And so I thought it was amazing. But tell me about the character development. And so you did that. Was that within that 9 months of research? When did you actually say, hey, okay, this is Anya, this is General Valerio. This is General Nicanor, Colonel Datu. When did all these characters come alive?
like I said, I based a lot of characters on my loved ones and my friends.
Hmm.
So what do you call that? Don't
Who's
ask me.
Anya? I want to know who Anya is, huh?
Me. Anya was me. I'll be.
Okay, as it should be, right?
I think kasi I was using Tablay back then. I mean, I didn't write Tablay for anyone but myself. I
Okay,
think I was going through a difficult period of my life back then. I think no, it was kind of like my coming of age sort
yeah,
of. Kasi that was when I went out of college and finally got a real job and entered adulting.
okay,
And I came from this very okay. So I'm gonna tell you like the trajectory of my life, and then
okay.
you can see parallels with the content of the work. So
Oh, great.
I came I I came out from a very I guess a very prestigious, I wouldn't say prestigious, but I was one of the top of my class nga. And there was a lot of expectations put to me. I was put in the residency program at an ad agency, and this was a multi-awarded ad agency.
Okay,
It felt talaga na parang I had so many things to prove. I had so many things to prove na with that certain cred that kind of comes with coming from that, you know, school, the kind of
sure.
reputation. You realize that people are leagues away na parang hala, ang dami nilang ginawa na they're so talented, they're like this, they're so great. how can you really be like that? And then eventually, as all young adults are, you realize that the world isn't expectedly like the way that you want it to be.
Sure.
Um, People are bad. There's sometimes when you have to make decisions that are kind of morally gray, but right, you just have to stick to it. You realize that people who are good have the capacity to make mistakes and be evil, and evil people sometimes have that silver lining that makes you say, okay, I kind of agree with his point, but I don't agree with that, diba?
Yeah.
With who person. You see that sometimes you just have to make the hard choices, and you feel kilig, diba? You feel all these emotions. You feel kilig, you feel anger, diba? You feel hardship, struggles that you haven't been through when you're still in that cusp of the college years, whether that be the decaying economy, right? Or like medical trauma, or like family relations that have
Yeah.
gone strange. Ganon, lahat nun. I just wanted to express that.
No, I think that's great. And I want to bring up a question about what you said. It's a question that has puzzled many Filipino Americans for many years. What is the English translation for kilig?
Butterflies in stomach.
Ah, yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to explain it, huh? Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know kasi I mean
yeah,
there's a there's this aspect of kilig. I mean, it's interesting how Filipino terms work because for example, there are like I watched in this Instagram video na there are 80 different words for looking in
right.
Filipino.
Oh, interesting.
But titig, which is like to
Yeah,
just
like
like
look, stare. Yeah,
um let's say kindat, 'di ba? Which is like or like a
that's
sidelong
wink, right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
wink, sorry, not the winds. Or 'di ba they're different or like say rice. We have different terms for rice.
Yeah.
There's
Kanin. Yeah,
palay, kanin, tutong, ganon.
yeah.
So like kilig has different dimensions. It's the butterflies in the stomach,
But it's
but
when the baby shakes too, right? Like the
or like kilig when there's something so cute that you just want to like grab it and like
that's right. And so I
yeah.
think it was that emotion or that act that I was like, man, I don't think I don't know what the English word for it is, and I've never heard anybody define it. But yeah, I think butterflies is pretty close. Yeah, that's true. But oh man, the book was awesome. So that's awesome, rightfully so. I love the story how you were Anya and you drew parallels to it, and I see it when you mention coming from the school and then going to a storied and awarded agency. And I won't spill the beans on the book, but no, I just makes sense. And real quick, I'll touch on two characters. Colonel Datu, who is that?
Oh, okay. So Colonel Datu, I remember. Okay, okay. This is opening up like core memories. Colonel Datu was actually they're mixtures of people because
Mhm.
one
Right.
character so obvious that
Yeah.
next 7 weeks. Like honestly, our next 7 weeks, it was like kind of like based on my story between me and my ex before. But ayun, that's for another discussion. Feel that too was a mixture of I guess my mentor figures
Okay.
and at the agency.
Strong.
I remember this time where I fucked up and my boss got so mad at me and she was saying na parang instead of pretending to know like everything, you should ask questions because you look dumber when you make the mistake. It's better that you ask me questions first, 'di ba?
Fair enough.
I thought I knew what I was doing. And see, this is another parallel. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought it was right. So I skipped a few steps. I submitted the graphic design that I had to the client, but it had the wrong Jollibee menu on the poster. I did not clarify which menu items of Jollibee should be in the poster.
Oh, that's
So instead
hilarious.
and the jolly hot dog and the fries. I like the spaghetti. And imagine that would have been mass produced the
Oh
menu
man.
all
But
over for the country.
oh, I
Oh my
see
god.
that.
mad, saying, "Why didn't you ask me questions? Diba? Why did you skip my step? You should have stayed in line." So I remember that memory. And then I rewrote it, I repackaged it as Colonel Datu getting mad at Anya for stepping out of line and thinking she
Many
knew better.
times during the book. Yeah. Many times. Oh, that's it. That's interesting. And she does it a couple times when I think the first time they went out on mission, and then it might have been at the press conference, right? When she was kind of annoyed at her too, right? A little bit.
10 extra hours of service.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah. Right. And the last character I just have to know about is General Nicanor. So I'm a little careful. I don't like him yet because I think there's some stuff behind him. But who was he modeled after?
um, General Nicanor was, I would say, some of the, the never meet your idol sort of people, right?
Right.
You
That's right. That's how
they're
they'll be in person. Yeah.
people that you really look up to. But then, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're specific people, but I modeled him after one of our other bosses at work. Really gregarious figure,
Oh,
very
that's
no,
him. Yeah.
very love, spoils me. Sometimes meron siyang bucket of Maltesers. We'll just put it on my desk. Just get as much as you want. So we go, oh, okay, thank you. And then he'd spoil us with lavish, like,
Yeah.
then he'd bring us to his house. That was minsan may fine, the typical like fine wine and steak and cigars. And, I just wanted to build this whole kind of like magnanimous, larger than life character. But behind that is sort of like this crumbling, decaying, like very sneaky, very snide sort of character
That's what
na.
I get from him, and so that's why I kind of keep him afar. I watch him. I like him a little bit. He's nice to Anya. He takes care of her, looks out for her during the interviews, protects her from that one person, the one reporter that wanted to report, do an interview with her, and just he's an interesting figure too. And then I don't know if like he did something to her father or he played a role into why he is the way he is, and so I know that comes later in the book, but that's why I was like, wow, he's interesting. So serious.
Interesting about kasi 'di ba I'm writing the graphic novel now, and
Yeah.
we're full speed on production. I reviewed parang my like Duolingo saying, let's review your mistakes. So I can I'm just refining. I mean, it's so interesting looking, I mean, revisiting the work five
Yeah.
years later, completely different. Well, definitely I am not the same person
Yeah.
who wrote that book
That's
years
right.
ago. I'm more mature now. I mean, I've been through a lot, diba? I mean, the world has been through the pandemic.
Yeah.
The world has
Exactly.
been, I think I've experienced more traumatic. I mean, gets well. I mean, your parents are growing older, right? You're now fully, I guess, more financially stable, but
Yeah.
you've been through a lot of shit, right? Now
Yeah.
that I'm in 20s, early 30s era. Not I wrote that book when I just graduated college, and now I'm almost
Ah,
10 years into the workforce,
crazy.
right? And then I'm seeing, okay, some things might not work as they do. For example, I don't know if I'm allowed to spoil this, but you can just cut it off because you're gonna edit it anyway. But
Let's hear it.
let's say that Nicanor parang had this kind of change of heart, diba? Towards the end. A lot of people were critiquing na parang masyadong mabilis or parang, diba? I mean,
Yeah.
without further telling anything na it might be too easy for him. So in the graphic novel, I'm recrafting his motive.
Oh,
So
interesting.
this is what I did. Of course, Nicanor would not be forced. I mean, he's such a neutral, a true neutral or a lawful neutral character. If we're talking in D&D terms, na parang he's selfish and he's self-centered and he'll only go for what he wants. I
Yeah.
mean, even if he packages it as for the good of the people, it's really for the good of himself,
Right.
right? So, how I did it in the graphic novel is I had to put external pressure on him to
Hmm.
make sure this is my thought process of building characters. What is their motive? Why would they turncoat in that sense? There has to be some sort of external pressure on him.
Yeah.
So it was I made the war council conspire, parang Caesar. I was thinking about Julius Caesar, na
Oh,
parang
nice.
external pressure coming from the war council.
Yeah.
If you know in the book, there was really a conflict or some sort of rivalry between General Miranda, who is the youngest general, right? And
From one of the
General
walls. You're talking about one of the wall generals. Okay.
War Council, sila palagi yung nag-aaway. Kasi General Miranda keeps saying that Nicanor's already old. He
Yeah,
can't keep times. He doesn't understand the enemy because the enemy is evolving.
sure.
So how they package that in the graphic novel is that they're conspiring in the sense na he's becoming a liability to the war effort
Interesting.
because he is old and he does not understand. So they're trying to get him into forced retirement or
Man.
yeah, his life his lifetime in the mech force has come to an end. We are not needing him anymore. So that's the time where you can see that the
Mm,
generals firing and you'll see that Nicanor is feeling pressure from all sides. Diba? That it's more logical that way that he's trying to keep himself in the railings and prove that he's still useful. And that's why he's really pinning down Anya into this corner and making sure that Bakunawa does not fail
yeah.
because the last nail in the coffin before he's ousted from the war council or even killed or
Ah, but I
assassinated.
mean, on her first mission, he performs though, right? And he's the one
He's
that like he uses the same tactic that Anya told him to use, or the entire team to use, and used
because
where they dropped the powder and marked it right. I was like, oh, he's still badass though. But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not that far apart, but that's interesting. So I can't wait to get to that part. But yeah, I mean, I could see that because all the wall generals are the ones that are fighting the fight, right? So, oh man, that's exciting. And I love too. What I did too a lot was I made sure that as I read every chapter, I tried to understand why you would do it. So you know, bato, mundo, pangalan, siklab, tubo, everything. I was like, okay, let me figure out why she did that. But what motivated just your naming convention for the chapters? I know you like those one title Tagalog words that they're strong. I think they're strong. It's those strong words. But I want to hear from you.
I wanted to carve out the specific of that chapter.
Okay.
Um, let's see, Aliwan, which is chapter 9, which
Okay.
is the chapter where they go out for the Christmas party, diba?
Uh,
Which is the kind of like the breather, or it's like kind of like the calm before the
yeah,
storm.
yeah, the breather. I like that.
Like the breather, or the if it were an anime, it's the filler episode, or like the beach arc, right?
Yeah,
It has happy moment na everybody happy,
yeah.
no talk, no talking about
Yeah,
to or like bato. Bato is I think chapter 2. That
yeah,
was bato meaning stone or like the weight or the millstone placed around the character's neck,
yeah.
carrying the weight of I guess her family name and the weight of being wanting to become or the pressure of being part of the strikers. Yun.
Yeah.
So gonna
Yeah, yeah. So I love what you did, and just it always had me thinking, right? And so, and I'm happy to hear that you're working on the graphic novel. When are you projecting the release for the graphic novel?
this year.
Oh, fantastic. Okay,
Hope headed to the US then after it's published. Kasi I'm really thankful because I applied for the team for the National Book Development Board. Actually is like one of the government agencies now, but
okay.
in fair they've really been supporting the works
Fantastic,
by
as they should. It's a great
diba,
book.
like another obstacle or barrier to this Filipino publishing, this whole, this dilemma. I would say it's a dilemma kasi there's so many good Filipinos, so many talented Filipinos. It's just
Yeah,
that does not allow them to perform, right? Sometimes whether no matter how good or talented you are, the system sets the ceiling and the floor for how far you can go. So
I agree. Well,
what it's good now that actually people are recognizing the importance of, diba, of especially comics, right? I
I
mean,
know.
used to be it didn't even used to be a sector, or it didn't even used to be an industry. Actually, even now, we're mostly backyard builders who would just
Okay.
use our own to like print out our
The
comics, staple
self-fund, yeah.
funded, Indiegogo, Patreon, di ba?
It's growing though. It's really growing though. Because I'll tell you, I was super excited to find out that Darna had comic books, right? And so I was like, ah, man, I wish I could get copies of that. But you're right though. It is still in comparison to the United States, it's still behind a little bit, right, in terms of the comic industry, right?
So we're working on it. It's at
Yeah,
infant growing, and I feel like we should right now kasi parang we're still in that bubble. We're still in our own bubble.
yeah,
So we can expand to like bigger markets. For example, infiltrate like schools, right? Partner with schools so that
sure.
students can learn, comics. Tap the private industries and other, 'di ba? Other philanthropic, mga NGOs, mga Ayala
Yeah,
museums, culture building organizations. That would be great. So I think the Philippines naman has a plan for really uplifting the creative economy, and I really hope that in
yeah,
my lifetime, in our lifetime, we can
yeah.
experience na Filipinos don't even have to go abroad, 'di ba? To
Right.
become animation. They don't have to go to Hollywood because we would really have a full-fledged
Your own.
production.
That's right.
Yeah, be
No,
credited.
I agree. And so you're doing big things. So I'm very excited for this graphic novel to come out. And I'm curious, what was the international response for Tablay? Now, what kind of feedback did you read and hear about?
I get so surprised that even random people from other parts of the globe, they send us messages like, wow, I just read Tablay. Thank you so much for making this, especially Phil-Ams, diba? Like,
Yeah.
especially, they're really appreciative na parang, it was through you. Even, okay, I'll tell the diaspora story first. I'll tell the local story after. So,
Okay.
Filipinas is saying, wow, I found this on, I think kasi we're just on Kindle, or sometimes when
Right.
my te- when my cousins come, they want to support me by getting some books, and then they'll bring it back, they'll give it over to their friends.
That's right.
Really cool na parang it's the first time for us to really read Filipino local literature, and
Sure.
we want to know. Actually, it's not the honor isn't that, you found out about me. The honor is me being the gateway for you being interested in this
I know.
whole entire ecosystem of books. Na
Love
ako
it.
lang yung I'm just the one that opened the door. You're the people that stepped in and 'di ba, and wanted to explore this whole world of Filipino literature.
Right.
Meanwhile, the also an equally big impact is like me getting messages or seeing the first time. Oh, by the way, so this is just the backstory na we launched a few months before the pandemic, and I was so scared. Obviously, one, people were dying. Obviously, two, we couldn't touch each other.
Right.
Three, how was I gonna how was I gonna sustain my book during the time in the lockdown? So, syempre, dapat
Interesting.
um, I have I had to be resourceful about how to do it, and that's how it became a runaway hit. So, mismo, I would be the one, as in buwis buhay moves. Like literally, I was risking my life
Yeah.
going out. Well, it was my passion, but I was also risking my life, literally, going
Great
out to
risk.
this and going out to the courier systems, the LBCs, and the
Yeah.
to go
LBC. Yeah. Yeah.
wrap up my hazmat suit. Like I'd have my mask, I have my face
Right.
shield, protective covering, delivering books.
I
Okay,
love it.
so it's like I remember, but I had to be tricky. I mean, resourceful in a sense na I used my digital marketing skills.
Yeah.
I I cold called so many. Bookstagram was becoming a big thing. That's how book talk. That's how book talk and Bookstagram
Oh,
flourished in the pandemic. And I said, okay, there's so many people making content. What if I cold call them? I said I just randomly shoot the email like, "Hi, my name's Katrina Olan, and I'm the author of Tablay. It's my book
yeah.
that came out just a few months before the lockdown.
Wow.
Um, anything to offer you guys except for a copy of the book for an honest review. Are you willing to partner
Oh,
with
that's
me?
great.
And syempre, I shoot it. It's a numbers game at that point. I shoot it out to so many people.
Yeah.
Probably over 50 people who I emailed and DM'd on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Probably maybe 10 of them came back. So a fifth of all of the people. But
Sure.
ever since, they've been my biggest champions for the
Yeah,
story. Sobrang,
exactly.
sobrang natatouch ako na until now they're asking me, Miss Kat, when's your book coming out? I'm gonna tell my book club to, di ba?
Yeah. Read it and for yeah. Oh, that's great.
Like I've made friendships over that time from just like a simple, sometimes you just need that 20 seconds of courage to kind of like do the
Right.
thing. In case
Yeah,
of
and I love it. You just cast the net and whatever comes back, right? And then you take and you work with the people that, support you and it's great. I think just that mutual partnership. So yeah, again, I love the confidence and again, I love that you went out and you decided to self-produce. That's fantastic. That's why I told you you got to get some toys because we need some Anya toys. That's great. It's exciting. I hope that comes alive in the near future.
yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, I look forward to the graphic novel. And yeah, man, you're just a very, very busy body, right? You do a lot of amazing things in your daytime work and with the book. And so I got to ask you, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do outside of your work?
You mean, do you count writing comics as fun or like outside work? Kasi ito yung
That is fun. Yeah.
relaxation, like creating the books. But if not, I do love traveling. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just watching this Instagram video that, well, I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, pero bordering Gen
On
Z.
that
So
border, right? Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm more millennial than I am Gen Z. I'm feeling the generational gap, but Gen Z is doing something right with like micro retirement. So it's a new term that they created. Like they're saying that they take kind of these long breaks in between milestones of their career. Because
Sure.
if you
Interesting.
work the time and then by 60 your retirement and then you're rushing all the traveling when your knees are poor and your
Yeah.
back, like what's the use? So
That's
it's
right.
really been my parang my life goal na I want to travel and visit as much places as I can
Yeah.
when I'm old. Well, I don't have rheuma and what do you call that? And osteoarthritis and healthy. Um so hopefully a lot of them also, but I like mixing business and pleasure kasi I like
Yeah.
doing and working for travel. So hopefully manifesting, I just submitted my Frankfurt Book Fair application
Oh,
just
you
to
mentioned that.
so this year, why I want to attend this specific one, the 77th year of Frankfurt. Philippines is the guest of honor
Mm,
for book fair. So I don't think ever in our life again
super
will
cool.
be Philippines will be the guest of honor because we
Right.
have every single country in the world. So that's like
Yeah.
100 countries will probably be dead by the next one. So
Well, that makes
I
it super special then.
yeah,
Yeah.
so highlighting all the books of the Philippines from
Okay.
for Jose Rizal's time to modern favorites. And the
Yeah.
government is going to send 100 creatives only.
Oh, wow.
100. So everyone has been applying. It would manifesting it right now. I'm saying
I
it on
know. And we're gonna talk about it when you get back. So
so what do you call that? I am manifesting right now that I am getting into Frankfurt Book Fair. I'm gonna bring Tablay over and Makina
oh,
and my
good. Oh,
and we
you're talking about this book right here? Is this what you're talking about? You gotta be talking about this one, right?
opened it na.
Oh,
Have
it's
you
that.
opened it?
I'm gonna save it after I gotta finish the life first, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and then I'll read Machina after that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So yun, so what do you call that? I'm manifesting that I'm bringing those books.
Okay.
Um that that Frankfurt Book Fair is more of a rights market than it is a book. Well, there's a book fair component that people buy your books, but it's the place to connect for
That's right. The
internet.
networking. Yeah.
So let's say US can pick up maybe HarperCollins
Yep.
or can pick up the graphic novel, translation grants for specific countries,
Oh, great.
uh, adaptation. So Berlinale is gonna be there, meaning it's for the Hollywood producers. Maybe
Oh,
we can
wow.
a
Yeah.
Tablay thing or like a
Oh, that
live.
is so cool. Yeah.
I have to be there, and I'm gonna use my pitch skills to knock it out of the park.
Well,
So
finger crossed. I'm going to help you manifest that, and I would love to see that. And we'll chat about it after you get out over there. That's super exciting. And I would be upset if I didn't get to talk to you real quick about the Sagittarius project that you have that you're working on. Can you tell me some of the people that you're working with on this project and what it's all about?
So Sagittarius is my current project. It's going to launch this year too.
Oh,
It's an urban,
can't wait.
it's urban fantasy, and I'll be working with the creative dream team.
Oh,
Um, Chris Portasio from Marvel,
oh man.
Black Eyed Peas,
Yeah,
and of Trece, and of course Toon City, Manila. They're the
man.
ones on Disney and other anime projects. So I'm the writer for the web series, the web comic. Yes.
Amazing. So Wells Portacio, amazing Marvel artist, and Apple the App from Black Eyed Peas, some of my favorites. So I can't wait. That was exciting too as well. And can you just tell me real quick how that idea came alive and just how did you all meet, connect, who connected who, and how did that go down?
So I this is such a funny story because you don't you realize you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back, right?
All
And
right.
you're just seeing that all these people you meet in your lifetime just kind of like may reason talaga. I mean, it's unexplainable. Call it the universe, call it God, call it
Yeah,
fate, whatever you believe in. But people, just the whole referral system of people connecting with people. So it's really funny. So I met, okay, so this is a long story. So I met Ian Santa Maria. Oh, wait, so it started with me making tablay. It
okay.
started with me making tablay and someone from Summit Books, the editor-in-chief, Leo, partnering me up with Ian Santa Maria, who is
Oh,
my coach for Machina, right?
right.
So Ian because of Tablay. Okay? I meet Ian because of Tablay and because of work. And then I meet Dui, who's the comics cube. I don't know if you know Dui Tano, but
I saw that interview that you did with him. Yeah.
he also I can connect you guys, but he does a podcast then with famous Marvel DC artists and also local comic creators. I attended his show because of my work for Tablay and Machina, so he
Oh,
learned
wow.
about Machina. And because of my interview on Doy's podcast, si Rafael Kayanan, I don't know if you know Rafael, but he's one of the he used to work in Hollywood, Marvel artist, saw that interview of Doy and referred me to Wills. And then Will
Wow.
interview. And Wills was actually one of the teachers or mentors of Ian. So
Damn,
it
that's
just
crazy.
rippled effect and naging parang Marvel Cinematic Universe na oh my.
Avengers style. Huh? Yeah.
So Wills was Ian's mentor.
Okay.
Wills
Wow.
Wills watched my video. Wills got me in to the Hala Hala project.
Okay.
And then I met Apple. And then I find out that Charlene, the CEO, also connected different with different partners at work. So I just like
That's
what
crazy.
and everyone knows everyone. I mean, such a close knit community, especially the creative community. Na lahat
Yeah.
sila familia or associated by work or something like that. So ayun, that's how it all panned out. So now that I'm in the Sagittarius project,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm working with these scary once again. It's like how would I say this? Imposter syndrome, right? Na parang do I deserve this? I think that was my whole dilemma also with working with Ian. Na parang Ian is like a it's like an illustrator legend. He's like a yeah, he's like an illustrating rock star. Do I deserve to be with him? But then sometimes it's just like, go lang and go. You're never gonna get this opportunity again.
Right. Just do it.
And then after that, here's another one. No, actually, I guess it's also like, being in the military na you tie your parachutes on the way down, right? Sometimes you go through this hardship and then you just have to find a way to like skirt it. I mean, you have your objective, but you find your way to work around it, right? You learn on the spot, right?
Yeah.
You learn by and for example, the webtoon, I knew nothing about web of writing webtoons when I accepted the job. I
Uh-huh.
accepted it first and then I watched tutorials afterwards.
Oh
And
wow.
then so that's me talaga. Malakas yung loob. I think that got me places.
Hey, that's that confidence. I love it. Our next 7 weeks, right? So Sagittarius is gonna be an amazing project, and I just thought the cast, the team putting it together is pretty amazing. So I look forward to that. But awesome. And so a big music fan. You mentioned you love big power music, and so real big on Olivia Rodrigo and some of the bands you mentioned too. I had to look up, right? Like I'd never heard of Cup of Joe, and now I'm into Cup of Joe because yeah, they've got some great music too, right? So that's some good OPM that I've never been exposed to, and so thank you for introducing me to that as well. But hey, it was just so much fun. Thank you so much. Usually I like to end these interviews with some fun, lighthearted questions. So are you game for the questions?
Oh.
All right, let's do it. All right, choose one: Jollibee or McDonald's, and why?
Jolly, Jolly
Why is
Bee.
that?
First, because they're our client, so I cannot say
Fair enough. They'll keep you on. I love it. Okay.
Jollibee spaghetti is
I know.
superior to
I like
McDonald's. And the Chicken Joy is literally claimed as one of the best in the world.
with the
Yes.
gravy. Oh man, I do like Filipino spaghetti better. So okay, that was good. If you could have a meal with anyone, dead or alive, past or present, who would it be?
My God, there's so many people.
That is a hard.
Oh, wait. Am I given like 1 minute for it? Okay, okay, okay. Albert Einstein.
Oh, okay. All right. Fascinating.
His hair is as crazy as people depict.
I like his hair though.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to ask him questions about the Manhattan Project, I guess. That would be
Oh,
so cool.
that's a
Yes.
good one. All right. Hey, favorite font to write in, or do you even care what font you write in?
Courier News size 12, 1.5 space 6.
You do care. I love it. I figured I said, let me ask this writer that matters. Okay. If you were an animal, what would you be?
Mm. Ooh, I would be an eagle because I've always wanted to fly without paying for it.
Good
Yes, so
choice.
I think I would like to travel a lot. Yun nga, so
Oh,
I would flight is really interesting.
I like it. All right. You do comics. Tell me who would win in a fight between Spider-Man or Batman.
Mm, in terms of plot armor, Batman.
That's the mecha in you. I love it. Okay. Good choice. Okay. Aliens are attacking, and the only way to beat them is with male action stars from the US and Philippines. Which four would you pick?
Okay. Coco Martin ang
Of
probinsyano
course.
because he
Of course. The Provinciano, right?
yeah. Okay, I'm thinking who else? Who are other male actors that never die? Okay. Oh, I want Pedro Pascal though, because he's there for the eye candy. So
All
character
right.
I suspect that his character might die just the way that Oberyn Martell died. Yeah, we're gonna go for it. Who else? Actors recently. Ooh, I'm gonna choose Ian Veneracion, another Filipino actor,
Oh, I don't
because
know. I don't think I know him. What did he play in?
basically, he plays like the contractor. I mean, I'm watching the series on Netflix now called Incognito. You
Okay,
should watch
I'll check it. I'll check it out after this, out of
it.
pure curiosity.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and oh, am I allowed to like not make it like American, like anyone in the world?
Yeah, let's do it. No rules.
I would get the professor from Money Heist.
Oh, I don't think I've
So,
seen that one.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, he's gonna be like the brains of the operation. So we're going
Gotta
to
have
need,
one.
yeah, we're gonna need different divisions. One for the action,
Uh-huh.
one for the strategy, one for the good looks, just for eye candy.
Mandatory.
Yes. And another one probably for like support or like a medic. You
I
never know
love it.
what can happen.
I
Okay.
think that's a perfect team assembled. Good choices. Last three questions for you. Finish the sentence. I hate it when.
Ugh, I hate it when people leave the door open and the aircon goes out.
Waste of the good air. Good one. All right. Pancit bihon or pancit canton?
Pancit bihon.
Oh,
Be-
wow. That's
I like the rubberiness of the noodles much more, the glass noodles, the glass egg noodles versus thick ones in terms of pancit. But if it's udon, I like my udon. I like thick noodles
thick
when it comes.
noodle. I think I'm a bihon guy too. All right. Good one. And the final question for you. Sanrio or San Miguel?
San Miguel.
I
Support support local.
love it.
Uh,
Okay, good. Well, hey, thank you again. You're just an amazing person all around, and I love all your successes, and I continue to wish you all the success in the world. And I can't wait until Tablay comes out on graphic novel, and I'll make sure to pick up a copy. We'll have to pick this up again. But I had such a great time. Thank you for your time. I want to turn the floor over to you to close this amazing interview. Any final words?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on the show, Romello. It was really nice. Wow, time flies so fast. Mga 1 hour, 1.5 hour for this. But I'm sure we can pick out the best parts, or just leave it as is because it's really great.
Yeah,
It was
we're gonna do that. Yeah.
please support us, guys. Tablay the graphic novel is coming out this year. But if you want to read Tablay, it's there on Amazon Kindle or Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Just search it. We really hope to get paperback. I'm really searching for a deal that can bring us to the US as paperback. Maybe import it from here so we can get it on the shelves. But while that's happening, please look forward to all our works. Follow us. I don't know. You can leave it in the comments
I'll
or
do
in the
that.
on our Facebook page, our Instagram. Ayun. So Katrina F. Olan Stories and Tablay Novel. So I'm really looking forward. Hopefully one day meet you guys in person. Maybe if I ever stop over in Hawaii or in the US again.
I know.
And
Must.
if you're there in Manila, do tell me then.
Yes.
Um, what you call that? Yun. And just I would really encourage everyone, just go out of your way and try to find out more Filipino stories, whether that be diba, books or movies. Don't listen to the critics while they say that we're just copycats or we don't have any original ideas. If you dig deep enough, we have such a rich and beautiful creative, ecosystem. So that's it. Thank you.
100%. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I can't wait to get this interview out. Take care.
Thank you.